like you're giving the orders now, Captain.
Damn right.
So you know how we've all been secretly, or not so secretly, wishing for Chris Evans to make a grand return as Captain America in the MCU? Well, buckle up, because there might just be a missing story that could make our dreams come true. Remember Avengers Endgame? The epic finale where Black Widow made the ultimate sacrifice, Iron Man saved the universe but paid the price, and Captain America took a stroll down memory lane to return those pesky Infinity Stones? Yeah, that one. Chris Evans decided to bid farewell to the MCU after that, giving our beloved Captain America his well-deserved happy ending. But guess what? The calls for his return have been buzzing louder than ever. Let's rewind a bit. Chris Evans first graced the MCU scene as Steve Rogers in Captain America: The First Avenger back in 2011. From battling the Red Skull to taking on Thanos and even going head-to-head with his fellow Avengers in Civil War, he became a true staple of the Marvel Universe. After Avengers Infinity War, he, along with Scarlett Johansson's Natasha Romanoff and Anthony Mackie's Sam Wilson, took a little hiatus from the MCU action. Now here's the juicy part. There are still untold tales from their time away. Imagine the possibilities. So who's up for some more Captain America adventures? Fingers crossed that Marvel is listening to the collective fan plea, because the return of Chris Evans could be just the missing piece to complete the superhero puzzle. Nomad Steve Rogers' return to the MCU could be way more interesting than the Infinity Stones' return to the MCU. Instead of exploring the cosmic adventures of Rogers returning the stones, a Nomad project would delve into the missing story between Captain America: Civil War and Avengers Infinity War, offering a grounded exploration of Steve Rogers' character. This would let Chris Evans showcase his acting skills in a more subtle MCU narrative. In Marvel Comics, Nomad was a moniker Steve Rogers adopted when he became disillusioned with the US government. Although he operated as Nomad for a brief period, the MCU version of Rogers was a fugitive for 2 years. The Avengers Infinity War Prelude comics touched on some of this story, involving Rogers, Romanoff, and Wilson taking down a terrorist group. However, it's likely there's more to Nomad's adventures that we haven't seen. Marvel Studios has already proven that retrospective stories about primary heroes can work, as seen in Black Widow, set between Captain America: Civil War and Avengers Infinity War. Despite Black Widow's fate, Scarlett Johansson returned for this character study, providing essential information about her past. A similar approach could be taken with Steve Rogers, exploring his Nomad days before his return in Avengers Infinity War, offering a grounded and realistic story to entice Chris Evans back to the MCU. Concerns arise about overshadowing Sam Wilson's Captain America if Chris Evans returns as the original Captain America. After passing the mantle to Wilson at the end of Avengers Endgame, it's essential for Wilson to have space to grow as the MCU's Captain America. The Falcon and the Winter Soldier beautifully detailed Wilson's promotion, and bringing back Steve Rogers to the present could complicate this development. Thus, a Nomad project emerges as a better option, providing an intense and touching Steve Rogers story without undermining Sam Wilson's journey as Captain America in Phase 5's Captain America: New World Order. This way, both characters can shine without overshadowing each other. The name Nomad carries a significant history in both the Marvel Cinematic Universe and the comics. Originally, it was a heroic title Steve Rogers adopted after giving up the Captain America mantle in Captain America number 180. Although fans speculated that this storyline would be replicated after Captain America: Civil War, co-director Joe Russo clarified on the Fantasy Focus Football podcast that while Steve wasn't exactly Nomad, he embodied the spirit of that character. Despite Chris Evans' departure, the Nomad name resurfaced in 2020 when Marvel Studios' Nomad was trademarked, alongside other titles like Secret Invasion, Ironheart, and Armor Wars. While Marvel didn't publicly announce plans for Nomad, the trademark remains active after 3 years, suggesting the studio might still have plans for it and the super soldier associated with the title. This adds weight to reports in 2021 that Chris Evans might reprise his role as Captain America. There are also intriguing details linking Scarlett Johansson's Natasha Romanoff to the Nomad storyline, A subreddit post, later deleted at Marvel Studios' request, hinted at Romanoff helping Steve Rogers tidy up the timeline in the Nomad narrative. While there's no confirmation of this, the same post correctly detailed information about Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. Before the Nomad talk, there were hints of Johansson's return to the MCU, with Marvel Studios president Kevin Feige emphasizing that she had a top-secret Marvel Studios project on her to-do list. Even before her solo movie, Johansson expressed that only a Marvel miracle could bring her back, but Feige's statements suggested otherwise. The possibility of both Evans and Johansson serving as executive producers and reuniting on screen for Nomad adds an exciting layer to the potential storyline. In a franchise that's exploring time and space, the question arises, where could Captain America and Black Widow end up in a world that has moved on without them? The answers remain shrouded in the mystery of Marvel's future plans. The beauty of the Nomad storyline in the MCU lies in its flexibility. Given Steve Rogers' status as a man out of time and the potential involvement of Natasha Romanoff, they could pop up anywhere in the future of the MCU. While it's unlikely they'll be having conversations with the new Black Panther, Shuri, or Shang-Chi, the Nomad story could be placed at any point, just like Black Widow arrived after Avengers Endgame despite the character's passing. There aren't specific upcoming stories for Nomad to collide with, at least none that we know of, but that doesn't rule out the possibility of these characters crossing paths with others already hopping around in the MCU. Loki, the iconic foe of Steve Rogers and Natasha Romanoff, is currently at the center of all time-related matters in the MCU. It would make sense for him to take notice of the activities of two old acquaintances who find themselves where they don't belong. If Loki pulls them out of their supposed involvement with the Infinity Stones, it could place them in different timelines or even involve them in a secret war where their appearance has already been hinted at. However, recent rearrangements in the MCU might have thrown things into more chaos than we realize. Considering Marvel's recent TV reworking, it's essential to note that the potential Nomad project involving two supposedly gone heroes is based on details that Marvel Studios has neither confirmed nor denied. Events like the WGA and SAG-AFTRA strikes might have temporarily halted the creative process, and internal issues could further delay the project. With rescheduling and re-strategizing already happening, particularly on the small screen, the question arises whether there's space for Nomad to find its way through all these developments. In the vast Marvel Cinematic Universe, where dimensions are crossed and history is hopped through, Steve Rogers' drop-off of the Infinity Stones could pop up almost anywhere. The last time we saw him, he was approaching his 80s, and while neither Chris Evans nor Scarlett Johansson are close to that age, there's ample time for either of them to reappear, considering the years that seemingly passed during the Stone returning mission. Cap might not have wanted to spill the details of his journey, but somewhere down the line, perhaps not until the end, we might finally uncover the mysteries of his adventures. And that wraps up today's video on Nomad. Thank you for tuning in, and we look forward to catching you in the next one. Feel free to drop your suggestions for future videos in the comments below. Until then, stay tuned for more exciting content.